Hello and welcome to my FMP 2025 Part 2. This episode is going to include my metalcore track, the common factors of metalcore, and what makes metalcore. My metalcore track is heavily inspired by bands like Bullet for My Valentine, Trivium, and All That Remains. These bands are all similarly placed around the early 2000s in their prime, specifically with albums like The Poison from Bullet for My Valentine and Ascendancy by Trivium. My track has very heavily been inspired by a lot of the tracks on these albums, and that is what I will be showing later. First of all, though, I want to go through the common factors that make up metalcore and it as a genre, or as a subgenre, I should say. Unfortunately, the subgenre is a very wide range of a lot of songs. It's a very broad subgenre. It's kind of its own its own genre, as a lot of people have been arguing whether or not it actually counts as metal or not. I personally will not be going into this conversation in this video, but it is certainly something I should look at a later date. Without further ado, though, let's get on to the common factors that make up a metalcore track. So here are the most important common factors of metalcore in my opinion. First of all, the most important one, in my opinion, is the harmonized guitar melodies, which are found constantly throughout early metalcore. Some tracks like The Poison Bullet for My Valentine, and Like Light to Flies in Trivium's Ascendancy clearly show this technique, which is basically when one guitar is playing one lead and the other one is playing it harmonized up either in third or whatever the harmony is. I don't understand music theory, I just know how it sounds. Particularly in metalcore, these are probably four separate guitar recordings, two in one harmony, two in the other. The first harmony will be on the hard left-hand side, and the other harmony will be on the hard right, which is what I've done for my track, as this gives the raw, authentic sound that is very common in the early 2000s. Going on with the guitars, the complex guitar and drum elements is also a very big feature of metalcore tracks. The complex guitars are pretty self-explanatory. It's very math rocky, very quick, very complex, and sort of a wow factor for a lot of the tracks, which I would consider metalcore very guitar rhythm driven. The drums are also equally as complex, typically following the bass or the guitars in aspect, and they are very quick, lots of double kicks, lots of fast crash hits, hi-hats, everything. What's the word? It uses the entire drum kit as a whole. Due to this fact, metalcore is typically quite a fast tempo. I've recorded mine at 130 BPM, which isn't crazy fast, but I was very tempted to record it at double the BPM to make sure it was in time, but in the end I was able to work with the 130. So very fast tempo is kind of what I mean by that is it's very fast paced, very energetic, very aggressive, and very much in your face constantly throughout the track, with only some bits ducking in and out, which I've included in my track as well. But it is a very, very intense subgenre. Another big factor is it is a very raw genre. What do I mean by that? So what I mean by very raw is, unlike subgenre genres like industrial metal or nu metal, there aren't many other surrounding aspects and elements like synths or samples or other electronic sounds or anything else like that that kind of get in the way. Because it is such a complex subgenre, it's very hard to actually fit in many things like these extra elements or lots of reverb or delay because of how quick the guitar and the drum parts are already. It kind of fills up that whole stereo field already. So these are probably the four most important bits that I focused on when recording my track, and I personally believe I've done a very good job. Metalcore has always had a touch of my heart, and without further ado, I proudly present my metalcore track for my 2025 FMP.